Operations, and we're very thankful that you're here with us today. The Vermont, we're also new board members. The Vermont School Association is my favorite board, and I think it's the favorite board of a lot of the members here. And being part of this board has, teaches us all a lot and has taught me a lot. So last year, we focused on establishing our norms at our retreat, and we finalized them this summer. So today I was going to use the norms as a quick reference because we have new board members to set the tone for our meeting. And afterwards, we are going to go around and introduce ourselves, sharing our names, our districts, includes staff. So also staff sharing, your position, how long you've been with us, and then just share what has inspired you to join the Vermont School Board Association. Okay. Our norms emphasize, I'm just going to summarize them and I'm going to read them all. I sort of did a jump of all of them together. So our norms emphasizes mutual respect and clarity of roles, particularly in recognizing our distinct responsibilities of both the board and DSBA staff. And we try to foster collaborative and positive environment. Preparation is essential as board members. We review agendas and materials beforehand to ensure our productive discussions. I know we all have a lot going on right now, especially with budget season, but hopefully everybody had a chance to look at that. Everybody's voice is valued. Courtesy and civility guide we model for our districts, and we all know that here our interactions we make sure that our own perspectives are respected and heard. I'm wondering, can you hear me online? Sometimes, oh, good.
Yes.
Accountability is central. We conduct an annual self-evaluation to continuously improve our work as a board. We strictly adhere to our conflict of interest policy, and we try to identify and address potential conflicts openly. And while we may bring different perspectives, we respect and support the board collective's decision. So using open dialogue to navigate, and we all gain into difficulty and embrace any difficult conversations for growth. So with that, let's start with Amy, and then we'll go around. Welcome, Jack. And then just introduce yourself, your position, and why did you decide to join the Vermont School Board Association?
So my name is Amy Callan. I'm the new Director of Operations here at VSBA. I spent the last 20 plus years doing similar type of work, but working for a small consulting firm that did HR and organization development and that type of consulting. So there's a lot here to learn. I'm learning from Carrie a lot. I'm sure many of you know Carrie did a lot, and I'm finding out just how much. But I'm learning, and I'm excited to be a part of the board, and every person that I've met so far has just been wonderful. So I'm excited about that.
I'm Debbie Singizer. I'm the Director of Board Services here at VSBA, and I'm also a board chair. I'm a board chair of a small district, Barstow Unified Union School District, which is part of the Rutland Northeast Supervisory Union.
I'm Laura Williams, and I'm on the South Burlington School Board, and I'm also a teacher at Essex Westford School District, and I guess I just can't get enough.
Melanie Virgilio. I'm part of the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union, and I'm also a teacher down at BEA Manchester.
What inspired you?
What inspired me to be here? Well, David left, and no, I was
They
on
corner you.
yeah, I was on this board a couple years ago, and I think I really was excited to come back because it's just, you guys do a great job keeping the pulse of what's happening at the legislature level. So I like to hear it firsthand and have a better understanding of kind of how all these laws and regulations affect the whole state. I appreciate that aspect of being here.
I'm Nancy Russell. I'm the Vice Chair of Hartford School Board District. I joined this organization because Neil asked if I would be interested in doing it. So it's all his fault. I've actually enjoyed every single minute. I've learned, I've grown. I think it's like the best organization to belong to when you're involved in education?
My name is Neil Odell. I am a board member in Norwich, Vermont, also part of the Interstate School District with Ann Arbor, New Hampshire. I have been on this board for many years. Went all the way through to president, and past president, and then nobody ran for the open seat in Windsor. And so I am back in the front board. It's like a bad pit.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Metzler. This is my first board meeting. I'm from the Champlain Valley School District, where I am the chair of the Champlain Valley School District Board. I'm a CPA. Well, I'm actually no longer a CPA. I work for VSAC during the day, but I am a CPA. In addition to that, that's my background. And I joined, actually Colleen McKinnon was on this board for a very long time. And when she was outgoing, she said, Megan, it's really good work. And I was like, I'm not ready for it. But then when I knew that the spot opened up, and frankly, after I spent a lot of time watching education finance and all sorts of stuff last year, and I realized just how important the VSBA voice was. And that was decided it was time to join as well.
My name is Mark Clough. I'm with the Peacham School Board, and I admired the VSBA from afar. We didn't know a lot about it, but I'm so pleased to be on this board and further public education as well as education, but mostly public. And especially in light of last Tuesday, I really think we need to wrap it up.
Thank you, Mark. So I was gonna let Sue and I go last. I was gonna jump online, Sue, and then go this way and give a minute to Bart to catch up, just coming in and catch Jack. So Dan, then Suzanne, and then Jim. You wanna start, Dan? Online?
Yeah, sure. Dan MacArthur, I'm the board chair in Marlborough. Have been on the VSBA board for a number of years, representing the Windham region, the Southeast Kingdom, as they call it now, because, you know, we all have our problems. I really think that VSBA is perhaps more important than ever right about now. Everybody knows the legislature and the funding mechanisms are all, you know, I don't know how to say it better than sort of in chaos. And I hope that VSBA will come up with a voice which represents each of us, each of our individual schools, and yet one which will be listened to and respected by everybody. So thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? I'm having some issues with.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Jim Salzgiver. I'm on the Taconic and Green Regional School Board District School Board in Southern Vermont. I'm also chair of the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union. I have been on the VSBA board for a good 2 years now. I'm also act as treasurer currently of the VSBA. I mean, the VSBA has, you know, to me, it's been important to, you know, as a school board member, to not only know your own little district world, but to understand the broader world. And like as Dan said, the broader world is a bit of a mess right now. So I've appreciated the VSBA's, you know, work to and being a part of its work to try to usher along the, you know, improvements on the state level, you know, while we try to struggle with our own local issues as well. It does a fabulous job of pulling together, you know, districts from around the state and acting as our voice.
Thank you, Jim. Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Buck. I am the vice chair for the ACSD board. I've been on this board 5, 6 years. I don't remember. I have been a school board member for over 14 years, and I also work as a virtual remote special educator for some of the towns in the Northeast Kingdom. But what I really enjoy about the VSBA is the work that it does to assist school boards in understanding what is going on around policy, what's coming out of Montpelier. And they're just such a great resource, and this board itself is such a great resource. There's so many talented individuals on the board, and they are always so willing to take the time to help you understand something that you may not understand. And since I've been on the board, I've just learned so much here, and I welcome our 3 new members and hope that they find it as interesting as I have.
And Lisa? Can you hear me, Lisa? Martine, do you want to go? And I'll communicate with Lisa by.
Sure, I'll go. Hi, everyone. Welcome new members and welcome Amy. It's great to have you here and I wish I could be there tonight. My name's Martine LaRock-Ulick. I serve on the Burlington School Board and I'm a former educator. I also was vice chair of Senate Education last term and just won re-election to the Vermont Senate. So I'm excited about that. And I really loved meeting the people on the VSBA. It's just what a great group of folks. And I also really appreciate the good governance and the good procedural, just the norms that we follow. I've always appreciated how well run our meetings are. And that goes for both Neil and our current wonderful leadership. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Martine. Barbara and then Gaston.
Hi, I'm Barbara Postman. I am on the school board of the Lake Region Union High School and the Orleans Central Supervisory Union, which is up in the Northeast Kingdom. And I've been on this board, close to pushing 2 years, somewhere between 1.5 and 2 years. And I've always been interested in education, and I'm retired now, but I was doing public policy work, including doing some work with the legislature in various capacities. And I really think, and I also want to welcome all the new members and also Amy. And also I want to agree with everyone who has talked about the important role that VSBA serves, especially with legislative challenges that we have, and the challenges to public education and the challenges to financing and finding money for what we all know is so important.
Thank you, Barbara.
Hi, I'm Gaston Bethalon. I'm the chair of the Troy School Board, as well as the chair of the North Country Supervisory Union Board. I'm the other half of the 2 regional representatives for Kingdom North. That would be Barbara and I. And the reason why I joined the VSBA many years ago, in fact, I can't even tell you the date. And that's not because that is because it's been so enjoyable and I've learned so much that, I mean, I just, it doesn't matter when I joined, really. But anyway, so I joined because I was recruited by our previous regional rep, Frank, and he left and recruited me, and I'm really glad that I took up the mantle from him. Over.
Lisa, can you hear us? I sent you an email.
Yeah, sorry. Lisa Meiser, I'm a member of Corey Valley and GRCSU. I've been on the board on the Corey Valley board for school board member for 14 years. I joined because one year I was leading the meeting and no one else was running, and so I became the VSBA rep. This past year, I really enjoyed being a member of the task force. I enjoyed meeting all of the people that were on that and found it extremely informative. And the one thing I really like are all the up-to-date and very current, particularly during the legislative session, updates that we receive from Sue. I just feel like I'm so incredibly informed because of her. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Carrie, do you want to say hi from afar? Can you hear me? I see you.
Hi from afar. I'm in Missouri now, but still plugging away with VSBA. I'm helping Amy get acquainted, and then I'll be doing some more work for the VSBA. Good to see you all.
Nice to see you.
See you.
Joe, you want to introduce yourself and then we'll jump.
Sure. Sorry I was late. I'm Joe Winrick. I'm the vice chair of the Wyndham Regional Education District Board and also sit on the WCSU board. I've been a school board member for like 15 years. I've been on VSBA for a year. And, you know, when I first got on a school board, I came up to VSBA for the new board member orientation training stuff. And I've been following VSBA for my whole time on the board. So it was really, really interesting, and actually it's been pretty rewarding to be now on the VSBA board and see how this happens and work with the people who, you know, make all of the knowledge that I got for the first part of my time on a school board possible. You know, it just feels like the next step.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, Jack, you have the floor.
Oh, okay, I'm Jack McCarthy. I'm a board member for Maple Run, which is in the St. Albans, Fairfield area. I've been a 50-year educator. I was a teacher, principal, and got crazy, became a superintendent. And I kind of looked over the years and figured out that I'd been to over 1,400 school board meetings. But I've only been a school board member in Maple Run for about 6 years. Don Collins got me into this. He knew that a person was leaving our region because I think her husband got a job and she had to move and so forth. And so I got into this. You always fear when you get into something where nobody else was running against you. So you know that, so I had a little bit of trepidation, but I've been to, you know, a couple of the meetings and our orientation that we had for the new members and, you know, the conference and one online meeting, and found it to be very, very enjoyable so far. So I tend to be a critic sometimes, so I'll let you know. I'm just kidding. But
You let him know, Joe.
thanks for allowing me to be here. So I'll enjoy this.
Mark Koenig, I'm a board member at Addison Northwest. I got on this board. I was on the task force for school board governance as just a person, and then there was an opening, and then I ended up here in my first actual official meeting on the VSBA. I was also presenting the findings of the task force that we just finished, so it was weird to vote on the thing that I just written. And I think the VSBA, the legislative stuff is all incredibly important, but I think the fact that you have so many school boards across the state that are all populated by volunteers who have little to no understanding of what they actually do, and they have millions of dollars in their hands to try and do it the best they can while being yelled at by everybody. It's nice to have a space they can call and say, what's going on? What do I do next? And that's where this place is such a great help.
Michael Inners, I'm the board chair at the Champlain Islands Unified Union. I'm the Grand Isle half of the Franklin Grand Isle region, not half, but a portion. My interest here is that developed because it's become more and more apparent that outside forces, state and national level, are going to have a bigger and bigger impact every year, it seems. And we need to weigh in and have a school board voice at those levels.
I'm David Englander. I'm the Director of Legal and Policy Services. I've been here about 5 months. And after 10 years in public health, it just seemed a little too easy. So I wanted to do something a little more challenging. I'm also a former educator.
I'll try to follow that. Tara Arneson, she, her pronouns. I'm the vice chair of the Mount Mansfield School District. I've been on that board since 2020. I was elected and then we went into lockdown. And then I'm one of the Eastern Chittenden reps because the previous Eastern Chittenden rep encouraged me to do this, and our board chair encouraged me to do this and said I would find it interesting, and I'm still learning a lot. So I don't have my sea legs yet. I'll get there.
Bart Pizzaio, I am one of the Central Vermont representatives. I sit on the Memorial North School Board. I've been on that for, I don't know how long. It's been close to a decade now, I think. And this is going into my third year on the VSBA. I was encouraged to join the VSBA from the board chair at Memorial North, who had a seat here. And it was probably easily one of the best decisions I think I've made. The amount of learning that has taken place over the last few years has been exponential, and I feel like just seeing how Vermont School Board Association is run and modeling good governance, I think helps me, understand what good governance looks like and allows me to take that back to my local school board. In addition to the myriad of other tools that the School Board Association I think gives us, which I don't know how I navigate all the legislative updates that are coming fast and furious without the VSBA. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and I look forward to working with all you again, and welcome to our new members.
I'm Sue Siglowski. I've been with the VSBA for 6 years. I started as a director of legal and policy services and then moved into the executive director position. And I really love working with this board because, as many of you have mentioned, it functions so well. I also really love the connections with all the school board members throughout the state and being able to assist them in understanding their role, and also any questions that they have. And you would be amazed at the variety of questions that we receive every week. I am a former school board member. I served as a school board member and chair for about 14 years in the supervisory union with Jim Salzgiver and Melanie.
I'm Florida Smith. She, her pronouns. Yeah, I became a citizen school board member, so it's not crazy. And it's an accident of great interactions with other people, and ended up looking for information about the SBA, and ended up at the board. And it's been, like Mary said, the best decision that I've ever made. And, some people taking chances on me, so I love community, and I love people, and I love the shared responsibility that we all have for all our kids in this board, of the shared responsibility to modeling good governance, and what we do, to really try to influence policy. And like some members used to say, I try to flash some dragons at the State House too sometimes, where there's too many good ideas. We have great people at the State House too, but it's fun, and it keeps us in our toes. The meetings are also this is one of the meetings that we're gonna have dinner today. It used to be like everybody was driving here, and the pandemic has made it a little more flexible for everybody, which also I think has allowed other people to participate. But today is one of my favorite meetings because we actually get to then have dinner and get to know each other and how we make decisions together. We'll miss you guys online, but we're gonna move. I failed to prepare agenda, but today our agenda was pretty simple. Hopefully nobody had any. I was so excited about welcoming everybody. But are there any changes to the agenda? No? Seeing none, we're gonna move right into number 3. I put together 1 and 2, and we're gonna move into the annual conference highlights. Again, thank you to all the board members that took time to attend this year's conference, and I'm sorry for the ones that couldn't make it, but next year is always a goal to have. We know how busy you guys are, and we appreciate the commitment that you have into advancing the vision of strong student-centered governance. This year, the focus was centered around visionary leadership and community engagement as the cornerstone of effective school governance. So visioning is essential as we establish our direction and set highlight and those instructional quality ensure success for all of our students. And that is vital to engaging to engage our communities in order to move forward the outcomes that we have in our districts. So we hope that we found the conference engaging and that you guys have fun. Sue and I talked a little bit about maybe finding a way next year to be able to come together as the board, either before or after. We'll talk more about that. But right now, Debbie is going to show some highlights and talk about the book.
Thank you, Laura. As you know, we had a new conference format this year where we had 3 standalone events that was spread out over 1.5 days. We had the vast majority of the VSBA board there, which was great, including all 3 of our new board members. So thank you for making that effort to be there. And we also thank you all for your efforts to promote the conference. I think without you, we would not have done as well as we did. And that really does mean a lot when you promote it in your regions. We'll take a look at the numbers in a bit, but just to give you a sneak preview, we definitely exceeded our attendance goal, and we had the highest turnout since before Act 46. So that was great. So I'd like to just take a look at each of the 3 events and give you a little bit more kind of an overview of what they were and also the numbers. And I put the numbers on each of the slides. It doesn't look beautiful. I apologize for that, but this is as a result of the workshop that I led, which was on how to make the board meetings more inclusive and accessible. And one of the tips was to put as much information as you can on a slide, especially for people with visible impairments, because then they have the chance to look at the slides ahead of time, and they have this great reader that scans slides and reads it into their ears. So without putting it in writing, it's hard for people with vision challenges. Mark Hoffman was the expert on the panel that taught us this.
Yeah.
And Gaston was there as well. So I just wanted to explain why you might see some numbers right there that don't look formatted well, but that's for people who are visually impaired. So anyway, on the pre-conf, we started off the day on Thursday with a pre-conference workshop. It was the first time we tried this. And as you can see, the numbers were great. We had 125 registrants. That included 43 board chairs and 35 board members with 41 superintendents and a handful of other people from central office staff. You can go to the next slide, Amy. Those were the 2 learning objectives for that pre-conference workshop that you can read up there. And the pre-conference workshop was led by Sue and Chelsea and Morgan Daybell and myself. And it was in the Maury room, and it was about 2 hours. And the agenda, we covered 3 general topics. One was the factors that are contributing to the FY26 budgeting season, the guidelines, priorities, and assumptions for budgeting, and effective communication strategies. So that's what we covered at that pre-conference workshop. Next slide. I just put, this is from our survey. We had 41 responses for our survey. And I just handpicked a few comments to show you. It was very highly rated. I got a lot of verbal feedback from participants saying how helpful it was. And I would say that the conclusion I walked away with was that the comments were overall generally very positive. The only ones that you might read a little bit of negativity in 1 or 2 of those is it was definitely a little repetitive for our superintendents who attended because they had the fortune of having the VASBO VSA conference just a few weeks prior to this workshop. So they'd heard a lot of that material already. But even the superintendents that thought it might be a little repetitive said that they were happy that their school board chairs and officers were able to attend and that they could learn side by side, which was the whole purpose of really this whole thing. So I think that was definitely worth trying this year. So unless anybody had any other comments or questions about that event, that first event, the pre-conference workshop, could you raise your hand if you were there? I'm just curious to know if anybody was there. Okay, good. All right, nobody want to add anything? Okay. Then we'll move on to our second event, which was, as you know, the celebration of public education in Vermont. Again, good participation. We had 120 registrants total. 83 of those were school board members. We had about 87 to 90 students and educators who participated in the, either as an exhibitor or as a performer. And those approximately 90 students and educators represent 16 school districts from around the state. The live show was phenomenal, and thanks in large part to our very able MC, Neil, sitting over there, who I think he should, we might need to start calling you Neil Leno now.
There's a team effort.
You and Libby did great together. I thought you played off of each other really well. And really, it did, in all seriousness, it helped just the flow of the evening, having you guys up there on the stage. That was much, much appreciated. So you can go to the next slide, Amy. I put together a collage of photos with a big apology that you'll see a lot of, and these have photos of all of you in them. You'll see that there's repeated photos of the same board members, and there's some board members that were not photographed. So one of my takeaways from this event was to work better with the photographer. Well, and wear your pin, thank you. That would be helpful, is to wear a pin, and then I could say to the photographer, make sure everybody who has a VSBA pin gets a picture. And also just to give her a shot list, you know, just somebody to make sure that we get Sue. We didn't have any photos of Sue or Flora, for example, which I think was a big mess. But anyway, we'll just go through those. That's the first one. I think I have 4 or 5 collage slides. But what I do love about each of the photos is there's such joy, I mean, on people's faces. I mean, and I didn't include the ones of the students, but these are all on our website. And Mark, and one thing I've learned is that Mark Haney likes to talk with his hands, because in every photograph his hands are in motion. And the other thing is Dan MacArthur was in a lot of them, and I think it was because of his green hat that the photographer kind of honed in on, because he got a lot of photos. And then you can see Jack's up there in a couple places.
That's my only shirt.
And I think Suzanne's in quite a bit. Suzanne, I think it was because of that lemon yellow top that you had on. It was very hotter.
Oh, it was. The photographer came over and said, I just love your jacket. Can I take pictures of you? And I'm like, please. It's just the jacket.
So note to self, if you want to be photographed, wear that color, right? Or don't, if you don't want to.
And the picture on the left in the bottom is a really special picture, because it's Nicole Mace, who was the executive director for the VSBA, and Harry Frank, who was the director of board services for the VSBA, and they're talking to Carrie. So that was I thought that was a really special one.
Yeah, I love that
It was
one.
fantastic to talk to them. It was really great.
And we had Jeff Francis there too, for those of you who know Jeff. It was good to see him again. But there's Mark again with his hands, you know.
Lisa was a little happier in that one. Not like happy or angry.
Yes.
Which is when Debbie came and gave a presentation to our school board during our retreat, and I heard through the grapevine that one of our student reps was like, why does he hate her so much? I guess I just have a.
Yeah, the student picked up, was it a student or a board member?
It was a student.
It was a student picked up some weird vibe between Mark and me at that training. I thought that he didn't like me for some reason.
And then is that Michael Inners? Yeah, so Michael,
Yeah.
we got your side profile in that picture. That's the only one of poor Michael is just,
Oh,
you see. So I stuck that one in there.
talking to one of the students, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I love that picture of Neil as the MC with, and then Nicole. Like I said, if you haven't had time, it's totally worth it. If you're having a bad day, and many of us are these days, go onto the website and just click through the pictures, especially of the students. I Yeah, mean, they're
great.
They truly are amazing. Yeah, so the media, we were covered in that evening's news, which was exciting. Sue did send a link to this clip that we're not gonna show you right now, but if you haven't had a chance to watch it, give it a watch, because the little girl from Rutland Town School just kills it every time when she talks about her green up project, right? She's picking up the lollipop wrappers. Yes, it's endearing. And if you need the link to that clip, let me know. I'm happy to send it. So the feedback from the celebration, boy, it was hard to choose a few comments. They were all glowing, as you can see. These are just a few.
Was this activity funded by the McClure, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would not have happened without McClure. McClure gave us a generous grant of $10,000, which covered all of the meals for the students and their educators. Just covered. I mean, like we weren't sure how that would all play out. But yes, it was because of them we could do this. So we'll move on to the third and final event, was the conference itself, which took place on Friday. And this, again, as I said, was our largest showing since Act 46. And thank you very much for all your help in getting the word out. So we'll go to the next slide. And we'll look at some, well, actually, I switched the order. So this is just a few comments about sponsors. This is the second year we tried sponsor workshops. Did anybody attend a sponsor workshop in this room? You did, okay. And how were they attended? Were there other people in the workshops? How many would you say?
Yeah, there was two, we went to one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Landmark College.
You did Landmark?
Landmark College did a good job.
Okay. And how many participants were in the room, do you think?
Half a dozen.
Half a dozen? Okay.
Well, right, like I think things got delayed.
They
and
did.
People got confused, and yeah, I think some people went, some people didn't go, right? Like, I think everybody gauged their time a little differently. Right, and then you got there and then the presenters felt like, oh,
They got,
I
she
don't have
did.
very much time.
I know, Julio, unfortunately, our first keynote, as good as he was, the one thing, he went over 15 minutes, which put us into a little bit of a, we were always catching up, trying to catch up
Yeah.
after that. Yeah, it was tricky. Yeah. How about yours? Who else? Was it Michael Inners that raised your hand? Did you go to a conference workshop? I mean, a sponsor workshop?
I went to a bunch of different ones. I believe there was the facilities one was a sponsor workshop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
it
went
was.
to that one. That was pretty well attended for a lot of people. A lot of people there. In
Okay.
fact, there wasn't enough seats for everybody. Few was in the back.
Oh, good.
Few
That's
was
good to
came in
hear.
late.
All right. All right, well, I mean, it's a chunk of time that we give to the sponsors, and I want to make sure we're using that time wisely. It sounds like the sponsors' feedback is positive. They love doing those workshops, obviously, because they get that face-to-face with all of you. If you feel like you're getting things out of it, then I think we'll continue doing it.
There was one where the consultant for Burlington High School's finance department, were they a sponsor? That,
No, that was a workshop.
That was a
That
workshop.
was equitable budgeting. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Okay, I think we can move on. So now let's take a look at the numbers. Let's do the numbers, as they say on Marketplace. So these are not stock market numbers, but conference numbers. This is coming from our survey. 41 people responded. You can see who responded. What you don't see on that, I'll give you a minute just to take a look at the data, and then I'll tell you a couple of things you don't see up there. So you can see that Julio was rated quite high at 4.4. I loved him
even though he made me mad for going over. The overall conference rating came in pretty well. My theory about surveys is that people who tend to have something negative to say are the ones that fill them out. I don't know if that's true, but the fact that we had so many people at the conference and only 41 people who took the time to say something, I'm thinking they had a constructive criticism to share with us. So I'm not disappointed with these ratings at all. I'm feeling like if everybody was surveyed, they would be a little bit higher. That's
I forgot the scale that was at 5.
the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you don't see up here is the people who filled out the survey. Over 25% were first-time conference attendees, which I really felt, I don't know about you all, if you had the sense, but just walking around and talking to people, I met a lot of people who were first-time attendees. And that felt good, knowing that that population was there. In fact, we're thinking about recognizing them next year somehow with maybe a little sticker or something on their badge that says first-time conference attendee, because I do feel like people want to talk to them and welcome them, right? So another number that you don't see up there is our revenue that was generated. And I don't want to announce a figure because we're still getting receipts in and paying some bills, and we actually have some revenue still coming in. But the good news is we met and probably exceeded our targeted amount. So that's great. That was really good because we didn't know, especially with all the students and educators turning up, which we were hoping they would, but we weren't sure. We maxed out our number of sponsors. We can only fit 10 sponsors in that space at Lake Maury, and we had 10 plus McClure. And next year we won't be there, so we'll have more space for more sponsors, which is good. Any other questions or comments about the conference? I will give you a little bit of survey, like qualitative data on the next slide, but is there anything else you wanted to ask about numbers or?
To your point about grabbing survey results, the thing that ran through my mind, I wonder, a lot of speakers these days have you pull out your phone, go to a website. I'm wondering if maybe if we would get better results if we actually captured feedback at that moment.
Before they leave.
Before they leave, maybe at the end of each session, just a quick QR code, say, what do you think about this session? And then maybe a poster on the way out the door with a QR code that said, what do you think about the conference? Grab them right then.
Yeah.
Not, a day or so later.
Yeah. Yeah. But we could do both.
You can do it at lunchtime. Like, how are you, midday check-in, how you all enjoying the conference?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, and keep the survey open for a week or so afterwards too, just to see if we get some people who want to do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Anything else before we talk? Look, we're going to talk about feedback. You can go to the next one, Amy. So this is basically what people thought about the one-day conference format. Overwhelmingly positive. People really like one day. There were some comments about feeling rushed and everything was kind of squished together. I mean, how do we avoid that with a one-day conference? I mean, it's a balancing act, I think. Some people wanted to see the half day happen on the second day so they could get home before dark. That is a consideration, I guess. Also there was some people that asked that we do a midweek conference. They felt like the end of the week, people are kind of tired and wanting to start their weekends. Again, it's hard to please everybody, right? But as you know, I hope you know, because it was on the conference workbook, we do have dates booked at the Hilton at the DoubleTree in Burlington. And we have those right now for Thursday, October 30th and Friday, the 31st, which is Halloween, which is very unfortunate. So what we were planning on doing is doing a full day on Thursday and for the conference. And then Friday morning would be a half day, which would be comprised probably of some sort of what we'd call post-conference workshop. and a breakfast with legislators in the morning. And then just after today, we had a conference team meeting to talk about next year's conference. And another idea that we had is to maybe avoid Halloween altogether and do Wednesday, Thursday, like maybe a pre-conference workshop on Wednesday afternoon. This is if the DoubleTree can accommodate us, because we don't know about that Wednesday date. Half day, so it would look like this year's event. So your half day would be the first day and the full day would be the second day, Wednesday, Thursday. We won't do a big student celebration next year just because it is, we're not sure we could find that size of grant money again. We're thinking if we ask for it every other year, we might have a better chance of getting it. So that's what we're thinking right now is next year it'll be, because the biennium, the way the legislature works, we're thinking the breakfast with legislators could be quite important to all of us, or something worth having. So that would be in lieu of a student celebration. We'd still have students at the conference like we typically do, but not at that scale, not on that scale.
Why that time of year?
Why that time of year?
Yeah.
I don't know. Carrie, our historian, or maybe you know. I mean, it's always been the fall as far as I know.
Yeah, I think it's part of it is we're so busy during the legislative session. It's very hard, it would be very hard to hold it during the legislative session, which can run through the end of May, and then June, people get caught up with graduations and things, and then it's summer, and so I think that's kind of
the fall seems
the
to work.
reasoning. Yeah, that to have it in the fall, but we're certainly open to hearing ideas.
That's all.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait, Mark.
Is now the time to talk about the business meeting?
The business, yeah, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
talk about the
Yeah,
business.
because we
the business
separated
meeting
it
right
this
now.
year. Yeah.
I know we did a little different format this year, and we spent a lot of time at our SU going through the resolutions, had a great discussion, got people all involved and excited, and then it was kind of a letdown in the Zoom format and the interaction, and I really enjoyed, we've gotten a lot of people to come to the physical presence of those resolutions. Maybe we're just Luddites and can't handle the Zoom, but it wasn't as interactive as it has been in the past, and I just think that's so important to what we do. I think it got slighted a little bit, just one person's take on it.
I think also we need to figure out if it appeared that our bylaws and the format didn't work well together when one put forward an amendment.
Yeah, but we thought that we could have it, we just didn't want it that way, but we could work away so that we were able to do that. Part of the reason, it was an experiment definitely this year, but part of the reason we did it was in order to have a one, because otherwise our meeting takes a good chunk of either the afternoon or, you know.
But is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No, I know. So this is good feedback. It's good feedback. It's in order to either make the conference shorter, or what we have heard is people want less. Like
Excuse me, could you switch back to where we can see everybody instead of the screen sharing? Because it's very difficult to see the people who are speaking for us who are on the Zoom.
We should discuss definitely.
I would just say I've been to a lot of the
Thank you.
conferences, found that session to be very interactive, and people were excited one way or another. And I think it provided us a lot of great feedback, and I think we missed that with the Zoom format.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's a trade-off, right? So I think one of the things that we try to do, one of the advantages of the Zoom format is you've got a greater likelihood that you'll have a higher attendance rate, right? So more participation, but at the same time, the format doesn't lend itself very well to that sort of exchange of opinions and debate and discussion around resolutions. You know, we struggled with this during COVID, when we were forced to go into that mode. And in particular, spent a lot of time thinking about how are we going to handle amendments. And I know that was one of the things that I picked up from the NSBA conference that happened during COVID, was how are you going to handle amendments. And at that time, one of the suggestions was to make sure that all amendments were signaled.
Right.
So prior to the meeting, if somebody had an amendment they wanted to make, they could do that. You just needed to file that amendment prior to the Zoom meeting, so that from a flow perspective, you could really get stuff working a little bit better. It's a challenge, I would say. You know, I see advantages to either format. But, you know, at the same time, one of the things that we have been trying really hard to do as a VSBA organization, right, is increase participation. And I do think that's one, and especially if we're talking about moving this to Burlington, that's gonna make travel for some board members, you know, a little bit more difficult than a more central Vermont location. And so we should think about it and possibly even practice, you know, if we're gonna do a Zoom or even a hybrid scenario.
Just to clarify, didn't we have a problem with the quorum though? I mean, I know I had to be engaged to make sure there was a quorum, and I hadn't been voted as a member or as a voting representative.
No, that wasn't a problem with the quorum. No, at the Zoom meeting?
Yeah,
No,
okay, I
No.
misunderstood then.
yeah. No, we wanted you to be part of that, so don't worry if you can't be here. But at the beginning, as people were coming in, everybody showed up like right then, right? Nobody like showed up like a few minutes before, so it's like, oh my God, are people coming? I think part of the idea of doing it online was to bring more people in, free some time. Also, the voting sometimes got really complicated in person, and the voting was taking more time rather than the time that we were
Counting the
spending.
votes, yeah.
That rather than the time we were spending together. So one thought, going back to what we were talking about, was like if we could create a way for us to come together at the board meeting, not just as the board, but with our regions. So create a way that, because we don't get to meet our reps or regions, so either be during lunch or we like set the tables at the conference in that particular way that either, you know, all of the, I don't know, central region has blue, I don't know, like something. And then create some ways for us to have, so the feels, not just feels, but it's like we get to exchange ideas or.
Yeah, I could have sworn that last year, even when we were in person, we had to have amendments in writing ahead of time. I could be wrong, so.
Yeah, we have,
That's
yeah.
always been a
Yeah,
requirement.
so I guess two things maybe that might be helpful with that is, well, I've got one of them already. One of them is, once we have identified, or once we've identified who our reps are, it might be very helpful to have a rep pre-meeting.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just to remind people that this is how we do amendments, and go back to your board and make sure if there's something to talk about, this is your cutoff date for adding that. And that we can work that in, because like I said, I know it's been talked about, but it doesn't get talked about ahead of time. And I guess, I know the other question was, if we wanted to change that, when would be the time, what would be the format if we thought that there should be floor amendments?
Yeah, and that's what
Something
we
like
were
that
saying, that
going
we would put a protocol before the meeting, that it was weird to change it there during the meeting, but if we establish what we want to do, and your idea, but pre-meeting.
Guys, can I interrupt for a second? I'm sorry.
Sorry, you
That
were not-
microphone in your room is incredible, and it's picking up on the background noise that I think is coming from outside the conference room. Do you think you could close the door?
Oh, yeah, they're setting up.
I apologize for interrupting. Thank you.
No, that's okay, yeah, they're setting up dinner, and, yeah. Thank you, Marty. Go ahead, Michael.
I think we had, if I remember correctly, 27 or 28 voting representatives attending. How many potential were there?
It would be every SU or SD supervisory district and, the individual CTEs that are their own entity. So I believe that number fluctuates from year to year, like, you know, now we've got Lincoln that's on its own, but I think it's 55.
So we had about half.
Yeah, a little over half.
A little over half.
Yeah.
I'll let this go with just one more
Yeah,
comment
go
if I could. I think the amendments, I think a lot of times you get into the meeting and people explain what the resolution was about, and you go, oh darn, I would have liked it on that amendment, and that's what happens in those meetings and has happened. the explanation of what the resolution's all about, tends to happen at those meetings?
Because we do the webinar, though, we do the
Yeah.
webinar ahead of
Okay.
time to make
Okay.
sure that people know that.
And I know I shared that out with our board to look at,
Okay.
to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it came out with enough time, I think, that.
And-
Okay,
and-
good
and-
point.
And most boards meet almost a week before our meeting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I think our,
But we
we can a month before, so.
And it doesn't happen very often or ever, but 2 meetings ago was the resolution from the floor to create the task force on AOE and state board. And I don't know that that debate would have been able to happen online. And it went back and forth for a while, and
Sure did.
now we have a report.
So we're a little behind schedule and dinner is sort of getting ready, but I also don't wanna, let's finish this part of the business, Sue. Your next, Sue will introduce the vision, mission, and strategic plan monitoring tool. This is the first time that a lot of our new board members are seeing that, and then we'll have dinner.
Okay, and we can make this relatively brief, I think. So I am just gonna briefly explain, especially for our new members, the strategic plan monitoring tool. The VSBA board went through a comprehensive and inclusive strategic planning process in 2022 in order to update its vision and mission. So you'll see the vision and the mission, as well as the belief statements that were developed during that process. They are at the top of the strategic plan monitoring report, which begins on page 7 of your board packet. And you will see that there are 4 goal areas: engagement, systems and resources,
Does anybody
advocate.
need does anybody need a packet? We have extra hard copies.
Advocate for public education and model policy. And within each of those goal areas, there are objectives and key results that we are working toward. And for each key result, which we refer to as KRs, the staff reports on the progress using this tool that we include in your agenda packet. So the monitoring report itself is set up for each goal. There are objectives on the far left of the page, and those are identified by the board. And under each objective, there are key results in the middle of the page, identified by the staff as ways to reach those objectives. And on the far right, the staff reports on the activities in progress for each key result. Are there any questions about how the monitoring report is set up? I'm not seeing any questions. Okay.
There's no hands up.
So this evening, we used to just kind of go over the whole thing, but we decided a few months ago that what we were gonna do is focus on a specific area of the report at each meeting, so we could go a little bit more in depth. So this evening, we are focusing on the second goal area, starting on page 12 of your board packet, which is systems and resources. And you'll see that there are 2 objectives under systems and resources. We focused on objective 2.1 at the September board meeting. So today we're going to be focusing on objective 2.2, which is improve and promote the essential work of Vermont school boards. And so under that objective, we have 6 key results, and they are numbered KR 2.2.1, 2.2.2, and so on. Those key results are on pages 14 and 15 of your meeting packet. As we report on this section, please keep in mind these questions, because we really do want your feedback and your ideas. Are there topics you think belong in the key results that staff should consider? And is there any other information you would like to see reported? So the first one is key result 2.2.1. It pertains to educational equity and says by December 31, 2025, develop the content for and provide 2 annual webinars/workshops on governance that support the board's essential work related to justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, with 100 participants and an overall satisfaction rating of 4.5 on a 5-point scale. And activities in progress under this KR are going to be reported by Debbie today.
So just to let you all know that we as a staff believe that equity should really be embedded in everything we do. as an organization and should be part of all of our programs and services. For example, we'll often have articles about equity in our weekly update. However, this KR does speak directly to holding 2 annual events that are explicit to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And this is a target that we're easily exceeding. It's 100 participants. Just to give you an example, we're holding a webinar tomorrow on the rollout of EQS, the Educational Quality Standards, and we already have 130 registrants for that. I mean, that's only one thing that we do that's explicit to equity and justice and diversity and inclusion. We've done a fair number. We've done a workshop on DQS governance standards this year, which was also the topic of our VSBA regional meeting. So I feel like this is kind of a easy target that we seem to be hitting and exceeding by a lot.
Thank you, Debbie. We're going to go on to key result 2.2.2. That is about labor relations. It's a short one. It says by December 31, 2025, provide annual training and resources to support school board members as informed and effective negotiators. And I'm going to provide the report on this. In August of 2024, the VSBA released a new resource to support school boards as informed and effective negotiators, and that is the negotiations toolkit. And thank you very much to for all the work that Carrie Lamb did on it. I know Mark Koenig was also involved. The VSBA provided a webinar introducing that toolkit in October of 2024. And we monitor the effectiveness of all of our trainings, from webinars to individual board trainings to the conference workshops. There were 87 registrants for the negotiation toolkit webinar, and the overall satisfaction rating was 4.5 out of 5. We have met the key result 2.2.2 for this year. And since this is an annual goal, we will be providing some training again next year to support school board members as informed and effective negotiators. The next key result is 2.2.3 that pertains to budget and finance. That requires by December 31, 2025, provide annual training and resources to support school board members understanding and oversight of school budgets and finance and measure member satisfaction. I'm reporting on this one. In August of this year, VSBA, VSA, and VASBO released a collaborative budgeting memo with resources and technical support for budgeting for FY26. The 3 associations followed up in October with a pre-conference workshop for superintendents and board officers designed to help school board officers and superintendents develop strategies. Everything that Debbie already told you about that was included in that workshop. So that is my report for that KR, and we'll move on to 2.2.4, which pertains to board superintendent relationships. And that one is by December 31, 2025, provide annual training on board superintendent relationships, including hiring, evaluating, and working effectively together, and measure member satisfaction. And Debbie's going to report on that one.
So as one of the 6 pillars of a school board's essential work, we do a lot of programming to support this KR to help districts develop healthy board superintendent relationships. For example, in the fall, early fall, late summer, the VSBA staff, we attend the VSA sponsored training for newly hired superintendents at their superintendent academy to discuss this topic and familiarize the new superintendents with the VSBA services that can help support this working relationship with the board. In January of 2025, we will have a webinar on superintendent evaluation, which will be led by Sandra. At the pre-conference workshop at our annual conference this year, this was one of the underlying goals, was to help superintendents and boards work effectively together in the context of budgeting. So we do that. Okay.
Just 2 more to go. We have key result 2.2.5 is about superintendent searches. By June 30th, 2026, provide improved resources and information for our members to enhance their superintendent searches. And I'll report on this one. There's a higher than usual superintendent turnover this year. And there's 3 searches currently underway with our search consultants. We've been working on increasing our consultant pool. We have a potential new searcher currently shadowing our two current consultants, and we're also updating resources. Two examples of some new resources to improve the search process are a template letter to the Secretary of Education before initiating a search, and a contract addendum that provides guidance to boards when discussing ancillary expenses for consultants, such as meals and accommodations. And then last is KR 2.2.6, which is superintendent evaluation. By January 2025, developed superintendent evaluation toolkit that supports boards in their process when doing an evaluation internally. Provide a webinar to review the importance of superintendent evaluation and the new resources. So this is, we currently have 4 superintendent evaluations that we are working with boards, facilitating those. And this new resource, the superintendent evaluation toolkit, is under development. It will be ready by January, and we are holding a webinar in January, so it has to be ready because it's the subject of the webinar. Right. So that's all, those are the 6 key results under objective 2.2. Thank you. So any questions?
So, yeah, just moving to board members.
Highlights
or nothing. Go ahead, Mark.
If you do the toolkit, are you worried about revenue and your searches?
Well, we actually, that's a very good question, and we did discuss it, Mark. And the reason that we are doing the toolkit is because the district quality standards require the evaluation, and we just feel like boards need help with it. And we think there's a lot of added value for when we assist them with a evaluation, because we write up all, we write it all up for them, we analyze the data. I think it saves a lot of time for boards when we do that. We don't have the capacity to do it for every single board in the state. It is quite a lot of work, especially for the, we don't really charge probably enough for it, for the amount of work that it takes to do. But yeah, that is a great question, and it's something that we're.
Well, it's an important
We'll
point
keep
on
it,
the
yeah.
school board's standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martin.
Other questions for the format, anything getting further information? Yeah. Everybody's hungry, I think. Online?
I'm not jumping the line, I gotta get something to drink.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see me, but any questions on the planner report? No? All good? Okay. So we're gonna take a short break for dinner, and we'll be back in half an hour, or let's say we were already a little behind, so let's say 20 minutes. Do you guys think we can do it? Yeah, we can get you home, and just like people drive from bars. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Megan, what firm were you with?
You don't have kids.
Oh.
Actually, that's true. My husband and I situated on investors, we actually sit down like civilized people and host conversations. members.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get home from work at 6 or 6:30, and we gotta take the dog for a 45 minute walk and play with them, and then, dinner is a long out affair.
Yeah, it is true.
It's actually.
Did you do a lot of traveling?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to rush.
You do public or?
from Sporting
Yeah,
events.
I spent,
and- Oh, my God.
Oh, no, that's all
that's
gone.
intense. That's intense.
Yeah.
I was more thinking like lunch, but yeah, the dinner too is a lot. Like during the high school years, I don't really we try. Constantly running from A to B.
Yeah, you try, but.
You try.
You don't get it all that often, because this one's got practice then, and this one's got practice there, and there's a game that it's away, so yeah. But yeah, it's much different now that there's no kids there.
Yeah, we hosted.
president, 2 at-large board members, and the immediate past president. The executive committee meets most months during the year to assure a timely conduct of the business of the association, including an annual performance review of the executive director and an annual review of the bylaws of the association. This committee will recommend bylaws changes to the board of directors for action by the membership of the association annual meeting. The executive committee is empowered to take action on behalf of the full board in areas except those identified in Article 7. Tonight, we'll be electing 4 members to the executive committee. Those members are the vice president, the treasurer, and the 2 members are large, like I said at the beginning. Prior to election of each office, or each candidate will have 2 minutes for them to provide, and that was part of the packet, to provide whoever is information about their background or their interest in the position. We're now going to proceed to running those elections. So we have ballots here. So let's start with vice president. Sure. Let's use white for vice president. If we need them, you know.
You're colorblind, is it this one?
That is. You have the right one up, don't mix it and take the other ones, Megan. Move his other ones there.
Oh my God. He's very draconian. Now I'm regretting electing the president back earlier this year.
I'm just trying to help you. Okay, so are there any nominations for?
Yes, the colorblind guy would like to make a nomination.
Yes.
I would like to nominate Mark Cluck for vice president.
Okay, Mark. But will you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, yes, second. So you wanna speak to it? Are there, well, let me see, there are any nominations first. Second. Are there any other nominations?
Jim had raised his hand. I'm not sure what he needed.
Who raised his hand? Sorry. Jim?
I was just looking at seconding is all. Yep.
Oh, second. You were second.
Can you-
Okay.
I'm sorry, for the minutes, can you tell me who made the nomination, please?
Neil.
Thank you.
Neil Leno.
I have a lot of respect for Floor and what she's done, and as well as Neil and his 4 or 5 years as president, and also for Sue. They asked me if I wouldn't consider running for vice president. I've been on the executive committee for a year. I've been on this board 3 years. I am a longtime school board member, but I just have to say that probably this won't be a stepping stone for me for president. I'm on 6 other boards, and I'm spearheading the startup of a co-op in St. Johnsbury, which has really been an important item for me. And so my time, I just couldn't give the best time as president, but we do need support as a vice president, and that's what I truly would like to do. And I'm a huge public school advocate. I get on my soapbox ad nauseum with people about it, and so my values align with the group, and so I think I could fulfill the vice president's role if so elected.
Thank you, Mark. I think we could also just do a vote by hand, it's only if we have, you know, more candidates that are organized the ballot, so we are. Gaston, did you have your hand up or you were just moving at? Okay, okay, I just want to make sure.
Over.
Over. Mark, sorry. No. Okay, so all those in favor of Mark as vice president of Vermont School Boards Association, please raise your hand. And one, I think it's unanimous. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Motion carried. All right. Thank you. So now we're gonna move into the treasurer. Did you what?
Nominate Jim.
Okay, Mark nominates Jim. Any other nominations for treasurer?
I'll second Jim.
All right, thank you.
Don't ask him if he wants it or not.
Jim, I'm actually asking him right now, so.
I just told him too late.
Jim, will you accept the nomination and you want to speak?
Yeah, yes, I will. For folks who don't know me, I've been treasurer now, I guess, a couple of years, been on the finance committee before that. I followed up a really good treasurer, Kim Gleason, and actually I still get to work with Kim even though she's not on the VSBA board, because I'm also the VSBA rep to the Vermont Pension Investment Commission, where Kim is the vice chair. So I think we put ourselves in a very good situation financially as an organization, and just trying to work to the honest truth is Carrie and Sue together had done a wonderful job over the years managing things. They don't need a lot of support, but we've tried to fine tune a few things, and I think it's been pretty positive. I've had a great finance committee with Bart, Nancy, and Michael on that, and so I'd look forward to continuing to try to push that forward.
Thank you, Jim. So, seeing that there's no other nominations for treasurer, and we are so lucky to have Jim, all those in favor of Jim as our treasurer, please raise your hand. Thanks. Unanimous. Again, thank you. So now we're gonna move to, we need two at-large members, and we're gonna separate them to make it easier. So I'm looking for nominations for one at-large board member for Gaston.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Nancy Russell.
Thank you. And then I see Dan MacArthur's hand up.
It might still be raised from before.
Might be still be raised from before and he's muted. Okay. Yeah, because he was voting. Okay, so let's vote in the first one. Yeah. Is that okay? Nancy.
Oh, it does Nancy?
Oh, yeah, and then first, oh, that's true. Nancy, would you like to say
I would
something?
love to continue to serve.
Yeah.
Yes, I served on a number of committees and especially enjoyed every single one of them, even the financial ones that Jim would have to explain. And yeah, I would like to serve.
Thank you, Nancy. All those in favor, as Nancy as one of our at-large board members, please signify by raising your hand. And this is very good. Thank you, everybody. So motion carries. And now we're for another at-large board member, and I'm wondering if there's any nominations. Jim.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Bart Pizzaio.
I'd like to nominate Suzanne Buck.
Okay.
Okay, so Bart.
Jim nominated Bart and Dan.
Jim nominated Bart and Dan. Dan, you had your hand up. See, we were trying to get you to speak. And you're nominating Suzanne, right? That's what you said, right? I think so.
Can you please repeat who nominated who on that?
So Jim Salzgiver nominated Bart. And Dan MacArthur nominated Suzanne Buck. Did you get that, Carrie? So we have two. So we have two, let's use our little, oh, now we have your white one out already. Okay, let's just use the white one. Use somebody here.
I got this.
And those who are online, you can email your votes to me, Sue.
So we did hear from the two.
Yes,
Yes.
so, yeah, Bart.
All right. Yeah, thank you for the nomination. Bart Pizzaio. My day job is a finance director and I still hold my CAPA license. I've enjoyed working on the finance committee this past year as well as the resolutions committee and increasing roles from the prior year. I like to call myself a staunch advocate of public education, very fierce in those regards. especially when it comes to closing small schools that I view as sustainable, much like in my local community. I often get up on my soapbox when it comes to that. Yeah, I think I have a lot to bring to the table to the VSBA and look forward to, potentially expanding role in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Buck. I have served numerous roles on various school boards, starting with a Bridport School Board, now on a unified board, and I served on a Career Center board. I've also served on the Resolutions Committee for several years, and I've also served on the Legislative Committee. I've enjoyed all of my roles with the VSBA and increasingly try to take on more because I want to learn more, and I'm really an advocate for public education. I am a special educator. I've served different school districts for over 20 years, and there isn't any better dollar value than what we get for public education, and I believe that the VSBA has a real role that it plays in not only educating our boards and our legislative members, but it also helps us to then turn around and educate our constituents. And so I would really like this opportunity to be able to move forward and give some more of my time to the VSBA.
Thank you, Suzanne. So we'll collect the. Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is Gaston. So who do we email our ballots to?
Directly to Sue. Directly to Sue. Sue's email. Here, Bart.
I'm gonna meet Debbie and David in the hall so we can count.
Can you just say the names again for us, please? I joined a couple minutes late.
Bart Desire, who's here right next to me, waving his hand, and Suzanne, who's like next to you, monitor here on the side. And then email your vote to Sue Siglaski's email. Please.
Yeah, I saw there, I didn't know there was another big one.
I'm just asking questions.
We used to have a second Suzanne on the board. I don't.
So if you're online and you haven't emailed Sue, please email me
Email Sue.
your vote. Because I only have two emails, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you online.
Yeah, Lisa says she just joined again, she dropped, so she's emailing you.
Okay.
Sue, did you get mine?
I did not get yours, Gaston.
Should be coming.
Okay.
So bad.
I'll refresh. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've got them all now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
They're outside coming.
Or,
Oh, Martine.
their insurance company had.
Martine, did you hear we
Yeah.
are nominating, we are voting a large member? You can email Sue with your vote, and it's the two candidates are Bart, who's right here next to me, and Suzanne. Did you hear that? Martine?
Send names in.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's just like, there's like a little bit of a delay, so I'm like.
So whatever the company provided them, they just
Okay.
pen them down. And then you down. So we can educate the judge, what an audit means. I know all provisos, right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but it didn't take long. I think we need a 7 courses.
Yeah.
Come out with a dollar amount.
They are.
Choosing the nursing program.
But it was a large participation over 5 banks.
Yeah. That's it.
Did you get Martine too?
No, I did not get a vote from Martine.
He just came back on.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'll get to it right now. Thanks.
Okay.
David, can you come back out with me? Because I've gotten another email.
Are we also voting on resolution or committees?
Yes, yeah, and then we start with the executive committee because then the executive committee is sort of by default on the legislative committee, so.
Right,
the next step, then we get,
And then we
the
do all-
regions, you just get the
All
regions.
right, we're just gonna go with what we've got.
Oh,
Which
okay.
one is it?
Nancy, you ready to arm wrestle with these committees?
Yeah.
I know. What do you want?
All right.
Which one don't you want?
David's gonna announce the result. Okay, David, our parliamentarian and council.
So there are 15 votes for Bart and 4 votes for Suzanne.
Okay, thank you. So we have a new member at large. Thank you both for being brave and putting your names up there. And so, for Suzanne and welcome Bart. Okay. Now we're gonna move into the first quarter treasurer report and the finance committee report.
Okay, thanks. Okay, firstly, the first quarter through September 30th of this year. You know, the financial performance has been basically pretty much in line with expectations. We're running a little bit ahead. You know, what you see from the balance sheet and the income statement is the beginning of the year, the first quarter, we generally get the bulk of our revenues for the year, which are our dues that all come in. So that bolsters up our balance sheet. Additionally, we've been doing pretty well with our new approach to investments and sort of you know, beating our numbers on investments and helping to bolster up our balance sheet. But at this point, we're basically running, you know, a little bit ahead on income, a little bit ahead on our expenses. Nothing too dramatic worth really focusing on. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them, but you know, on the first quarter financials. Okay, without a whole lot of questions there, the other item, the finance committee is, you know, we have a good finance committee who's been meeting on a quarterly basis. One of the things that, you know, since we went into the new approach on investing, that's one of the jobs of the finance committee is to meet on a quarterly basis, take the opportunity to look at the financials, but also overlook the investment portfolio. Our last meeting back on Halloween, speaking of Halloween, we you know, took a look at the investment portfolio and determined that it basically were the allocations in the investment portfolio continue to be in line with what we had set out initially. As a finance committee, we sort of have a position of, we don't want to be pretending we're smarter than we are and trying to, you know, micromanage investments. So we're in the ballpark of what our allocations are, so we just stuck with that. One of the things that we did as a finance committee, though, is we first approved the procedures. You know, we have policies on investments that are very broad brush. And then we have a set of procedures that got much more detailed on how we operate. Those procedures were originally agreed when we decided to go with this new investment approach back in September of 2022. So they were pretty dated. We've made a few changes to them since then. So we decided it was time to do was to roll all of those changes into a single document so that the board would have an updated document talking about how the finance committee and ultimately the board operates with respect to investments. So the document in your package is getting rid of some old stuff that was really kind of irrelevant and updating our investment procedures to reflect all the decisions we've made over time. One of the things we decided to do as well, you'll see it, it's not that long of a document, but at the end we give a history. The history is just to kind of, show that we over time how things have changed. We figure that is always good information and try to be fully transparent with the decisions we've made over time to change the way we handle investments. One thing that the finance committee identified, during that, pulling this together into a single new updated document, is that back in March of this year, the finance committee, approved essentially 4 recommendations to the board. We initially had been set up just to handle our reserve funds, our restricted reserve funds and investments. Then we realized that it's kind of silly to leave sometimes, like this time of the year when all our dues are in, we have a large balance in the bank. It's kind of silly to leave that sitting in a bank account that's earning essentially nothing, when we could shift some of those over on a temporary basis into a government securities money market account. So in March, we decided that it was time we wrote up some new procedures for that. And we decided it was great. We'd go ahead and present that to the board in an upcoming meeting. Then we had a couple of very busy meetings and somehow that got overlooked. So in the procedures, you see the one section that's sort of really highlighted is a section that says that, we can take those operating, some level of operating funds and put them just into the Treasury Money Market Fund, and only the Treasury Money Market Fund, to do a little bit better with those earnings. So that's basically what that change. So what we're proposing is approval of the updated procedures, including that one request for handling operating funds that we had neglected to get the board to approve back in, earlier this year. So I guess I'd be looking for, first a motion to
Accept your report. So a motion to accept the treasurer's first quarter report. Melanie, did you get that, Carrie, Melanie, and Bart?
Second. Okay. No, I can't hear very well in that room. I'm sorry. Are you motioning to accept the report or motioning for the procedure?
Motion to accept the treasurer's first quarter report. Yes. Melanie from Bennington is making the motion, and Bart from Central Region is seconding the motion.
Yeah, my apologies, Carrie. I took us the wrong way on that. Sorry.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions for Jim? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nay? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now we are looking for a motion to amend the VSBA investment procedures for the restricted net assessment reserve fund and operating fund, and as proposed by the finance committee in the board meeting packet.
Lord, this is Gaston. I'll make that motion. Over.
Okay, so Gaston sends it over to Michael.
I'll second. Michael
Okay.
Inners.
Any discussion?
Can you tell me who the second was?
Michael Inners.
Sorry, what are we discussing right now? I missed that.
The VSBA investment procedures for the restricted net assessment resend fund. Did you see that in the packet? Yeah, just the finance part of that, as proposed, the changes. You see that? You joined that a little later. Do you have any questions? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Dan? Dan, are you
Okay.
opposed? Just- okay.
Then we just have one minor additional item with our unfortunate loss of Carrie, but our happy addition of Amy. We need to, on the Vanguard account currently, Sue and Carrie are the authorized people on the account. We need to amend that, so we need a board resolution essentially to amend that to be Sue and Amy.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a motion to remove Carrie Lamb and add Amy Callan as the authorized person to act and sign on behalf of the VSBA for its Vanguard accounts effective November 13, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Nancy. Second by Megan. Did you hear that, Carrie? So it was moved by Nancy and second by Megan in Eastern Chittenden, our new member. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. And
I'm sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder, Jim, but on your last page, there was another motion that you were looking for, I think, right?
No, actually, on the minutes that you're looking at?
Nope, the red printing on March 27th, 2024, unless
Oh,
I.
but that was included with the update of the procedures overall.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
Okay, yep, thanks.
okay, so now we're gonna move to item 8 on our agenda, recognition of the SBA board members, extraordinary service. And I'm gonna give it to Debbie, right?
And Sue.
And Sue,
both of us,
yeah.
Yeah. So I can start if you want.
Please do.
Yeah, so we have a objective in our strategic plan that talks about getting a certain number of board members, not just VSBA board members, but school board members, to provide education to their fellow board members, because we think it's really powerful and impactful to have board members, sharing their knowledge. And we wanted to recognize the VSBA board members who have done this in the past year, because we know how busy you are with your own school boards, your budgets, and on top of that, you're serving on the VSBA board, and then on top of that, you are helping deliver professional development to school board members around the state. So we have a number of VSBA board members who are being recognized, and I'll hand it to Debbie to say who they are.
Yay. Yeah, so just to piggyback on what Sue said, I can't do my job with all of you who help me with these webinars and workshops at the conferences and the regional meetings. I mean, you all step up whenever you're asked to do it, and some of you just volunteer. You raise your hand and say, hey, do you need help? And so I just want you to know that does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate that very, very, very much. So without further ado, we would like to recognize Flor Diaz-Smith and we're calling you all Board Development Champions. So Flor, this is to thank you for completing two webinars, as well as being our co-host for the 2024 annual conference. Thank you, Flor. Next Board Development Champion Award goes to Neil Odell, who has led us in a webinar this past year, the one on Act 127, as well as the VSBA proposed resolutions, and being our fearless master of ceremony at the Celebration of Public Education. Thank you, Neil. Jim, we have one for you. Thank you, Jim, so much for your help with Let's Pass a Budget, communicating your district's priority needs. So we'll mail it to you.
Thank you.
And the next one goes to our recently elected Vice President, Mark Clough. Thank you so much, Mark, for your help with the 2024 VSBA regional meeting this year and presenting on the governance standards.
Thank you very much.
And we have another one for another Mark. Mark Haney, thank you so much for all your work on unlocking success, the new VSBA negotiation toolkits webinar, as well as also the 2024 regional meeting on the governance standards. Thanks, Mark. And Gaston, you almost had to go on page 2 on your award. We are recognizing you for, again, webinars, becoming an effective board member, a guide to roles and responsibilities, as well as the VSBA proposed resolutions webinar this year. And I had the pleasure of working with Gaston on the community engagement through inclusive and accessible board meetings at the conference. So Gaston, thank you very much for all your hard work. And Martine will mail you yours as well. Martine, thank you so much for your help with the 2024 Legislative Advocacy Lunch webinar that we had. It probably seems like 10 years ago at this point, right? Thank you, Martine. Oh, and last but not least, and he's not on the screen, but Mark Huffman was also part of that workshop at the annual conference. He led us amazing through a very, very powerful, Gaston's nodding his head emphatically. It was such, and Jim was there. I think Mark, you were there. He did an amazing job leading our panel on community engagement through inclusive and accessible, and Megan, you were there too, board meetings. And he even gave out homemade spice rubs, right? That he made.
I got the fire in the hole.
We got the fire in the hole.
It's good.
So he actually came with a party favor. So he kind of set the standard high for the rest of y'all. But in all seriousness, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, now we're gonna move into our committees, and we are staying ahead of time, so.
Yes.
Finance committee membership, Sue will provide a little background.
Yes, I'll just give you a short synopsis of what the finance committee is. So Article 10 of the bylaws, which is in your packet and is highlighted, provides the following information on the finance committee. The committee consists of the treasurer, who shall serve as chair, and at least 2 members of the board of directors appointed by the president with the advice of the board of directors. The committee shall present a proposed budget to the board of directors and recommend adjustments to the board's financial monitoring policies as needed. This committee meets via Zoom approximately 4 to 6 times per year, once each quarter, with 1 to 2 additional meetings during the budget development phase. Previous members or current members are Jim Salzgiver, Nancy Russell, Michael Inners, and Bart Bizio.
So I'm looking for volunteers for the committee, so it can be this, okay, so we have Bart, yeah, Jim, you're stuck because you're a treasurer.
I'll do it again.
Okay, Michael will do it again, and
I will.
Nancy, you do it again too? Okay. I'll give it a whirl. Yeah, Megan. Okay. Okay, so we have.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so Jim, you have a big team this year, so we
Yes,
have.
no, thank you. It's a good committee. I'm really glad that we get to keep going. Thank you.
So Carrie, did you get that? So we're.
I was just gonna say, can I repeat? Is it Jim Salzgiver, Bart Bizio, and Nancy Russell?
Michael Inners.
And Michael
Megan.
Inners, wonderful.
And Megan Metzler, am I saying that right? Yeah, Megan Metzler. Our new board member. Citizen.
So it's Jim, Bart, Nancy, Michael, and Megan.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna move into our legislative committee, and I'm gonna give it back to you, Sue.
Okay. Section B4 of the VSBA board's policies covers official public policy positions. It states that the VSBA recognizes that decisions and positions taken on behalf of the organization require different levels of timeliness and process, resulting in positions carrying different weights. Positions are taken based on the following. First, VSBA resolutions. The bylaws of the VSBA describe the process of adopting resolutions, which are positions taken by vote of the membership at the VSBA's annual meeting. A resolution is the most substantive decision or position of the association. Second, VSBA board position. The bylaws of the VSBA describe the process by which the board of directors may take a position about which there is no resolution. This board decision requires notice and consideration at a meeting of the board of directors and is the second level of association decision-making. Third, the VSBA legislative committee position. Policy D4 describes the process by which the legislative committee may determine a position about which there is no resolution or VSBA board position. And then fourth is advisory opinion. An executive committee advisory opinion may be taken in instances where rapid response to an issue is required and the legislative committee was unable to convene a quorum. According to VSBA board policy D4, the legislative committee consists of the executive committee plus one member from each region not otherwise represented by a member of the executive committee. The VSBA president shall serve as chair and shall not be considered a regional representative. The immediate past president of the executive committee, the immediate past president on the executive committee shall not be considered a regional representative. The regional representatives will select which of them will serve on the legislative committee. If a region is unable to decide, the VSBA president shall have the authority to appoint a representative. The legislative committee shall have the responsibility for determining VSBA policy or advocacy positions where no resolution or previous action of the board exists and timeframes for a decision preclude a meeting of the full VSBA board. So based on that language, the legislative committee would consist of Floor, Mark Clough, Jim Salzgiver, Bart, and Nancy, and then plus one representative from the following regions. So we have Addison, Eastern Chittenden, Kingdom North, Rutland, Western Chittenden, Wyndham, and Windsor. We need one rep from each of those regions.
Yeah. And last year we met just twice. It just depends of the year.
Right.
Franklin,
Right. Oh, yes, we need that one in there too. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Michael.
The other ones are, I'm not skipping them there.
We didn't have it on the list
Represent them.
before because from last year we had Tara.
Tara.
was on
Yeah,
before.
Right.
Okay, so I'm looking, now that we confuse you. So I guess I would just go, so Addison.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Addison, Suzanne.
Okay. Do you have that, Carrie? And then Eastern is.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm getting it.
So I currently have Floor, Mark Clough, Jim Salzgiver, Nancy, and Bart. And then what were the other ones?
So now it'd be Suzanne Buck for Addison. And now
Thank you.
I'm looking at Eastern Chittenden.
What was that?
Tara. Tara. Okay. So Tara.
Tara Arneson.
Tara? Tara, okay. Okay,
And now Kingdom North.
Barbara, do you want to do it or?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
So Barbara.
Barbara
that?
Postman,
Yeah, yep. Rutland.
Lisa Miser.
Okay, Lisa.
all right, thank you, Lisa.
Western Chittenden. Say that right. Laura. Laura Williams.
Thank you.
Wyndham.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. Did you get that?
Joe, did you say?
Yeah.
Joe Winrich, okay.
And then Windsor.
Already covered with.
Oh, that's true, Nancy. Yeah, we needed to take that.
That's right,
out.
right. We
I
don't need to
forgot
go
to
into it.
highlight.
Yep.
And add it, yeah.
And now we need Franklin,
Franklin.
Grand Isle.
Michael.
Michael Enners,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you.
That is awesome. Sometimes we have, due to, absences and stuff, we have a hard time filling it all at this meeting.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
going-
great that we have it all filled out.
Any questions? Is it confusing enough? Okay, now we're gonna move into our awards committee. And
So that this is really short. The awards committee proposes awards, criteria, and award recipients. This committee meets via Zoom for 1 hour, approximately 3 to 4 times per year. The current members were Nancy Russell, Martine Gulick, and Neil Odell.
so I'm looking for volunteers for the awards committee. I'm not gonna look in the direction of the ones that are there in case it's a very low stakes committee. Not low stakes, you don't need as much. It's a really important committee. It's a very important committee, but you don't need as, like.
We just got award, you tell me award for low stakes?
More people excited.
I was gonna say it's the best committee.
It's the best
we get
committee
to
because you can just
bestow
do it,
awards
yeah.
on people. I mean, talk about great.
Yeah.
It's
So what I mean
so-
about low stakes is like there's just joy.
There's
at the
joy
committee.
on this committee.
Sign me up
Lots
for
of
some more
joy,
joy.
right, Nancy?
Sign me up for more joy.
Okay,
All right.
Neil is signed up for more joy. Okay, Jack.
Jack, are you signing
You're
up for joy?
joyful.
I'm so excited to do that.
Kind of
I
attitude we
knew
like.
you guys would be like, just, yeah. Don't tell yourself.
Oh, but three's a party.
3 is
You're gonna have 3.
hard,
And
so.
I'm
who's
sorry to say, it's very hard, it's hard to understand the voices in the room. I think probably other people on Zoom would agree with me. It just sounds like one big voice happening. So it sounds to me like you just said Neil. Was there someone else?
Jack. Our new board member, Jack.
Jack?
Yes. And then we're looking for one more person, but there's let's see, who is not in the room right now? Oh, Mel. Melanie.
I just can't meet your names. Last night, so.
Yeah, so Melanie.
There goes the joy.
Not necessarily because the meeting location could be great at.
We're gonna be doing just fine.
Okay,
Just
all
fine.
right.
So did you get that? Carry us Melody.
Whatever.
So it's
Bob, you-
Neil, Jack, and Melanie?
Yes,
Thank you.
they're already having so much fun, we all want to join. Okay, so now into our consent agenda, so we could move our September meeting in minutes. Motion,
Motion from Mark Club to accept the consent agenda, including the minutes.
thank you, Mark. Megan Metzler seconds. Thank you, Megan.
I have a
Thanks.
small amendment.
Yes, go ahead.
I think autocorrect likes to change my name from Martine to Martin. You could just add an E to my first name. That would be great.
Great, thank you. for doing
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the motion with the amendment, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Any abstentions? You one, yeah, okay, so one abstention. And then everybody else was an aye, so. The minutes carry. The consent agenda. So any new business? Oh,
You might want to know it's Tara.
can you hear us, Gary? It was Tara that had an abstention and then everybody else was a yes.
Yes, I got that. Thank you.
So you're just that new business, yeah, so any new business, go ahead.
When do we set, I thought the resolutions committee also got set.
Yeah, we usually do that in the spring or early spring. Yeah.
It gives the board members, well, it gives the board members that have just started, the new board members.
Gotcha, more understanding of.
Yeah, yeah, and then,
Makes perfect sense.
yeah, and that committee meets in the summer, so.
Yeah, usually March or April meeting.
I didn't hear anybody, otherwise I'm gonna give it to Debbie, but.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Will there be an update for us that maybe the newsletters don't cover on future Public Education Commission for us at our next board meeting?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they will have made some progress by then.
Wow, that's a tough word.
Yeah, and we had a little, you had a little update in the steering committee
Yeah.
meeting on the 14th.
Yeah, usually, yeah, if you check the weekly update, we do provide you with, you know, a little bit of information in there when we have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Flora, this is Gaston. The only thing I'd like to add is I'd like to congratulate Senator Martine on her reelection and certainly wish her, you know, the best as we, you know, begin the legislative session coming up. And I know it's going to be rough going, and certainly appreciate all the work she does on behalf of, you know, Vermont schools. So congratulations, Martine, and best of luck going forward. Over.
Thank you, Gaston. Appreciate it.
Well said, Gaston. Did you hear us clap unless it was a mush of all of us? Could you hear? Thank you. And we're here to support you in any way. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm gonna need all the support I can get.
Okay. So I'm gonna give it now to, well, before I give it back to Debbie, I just want to take a minute to thank the staff and, you know, Amy was also at the conference too, and you know, we did thank you at the conference, but now that the board is here, thank you for all the work and for, it was just very well done. And Carrie, you are online. Sandra's not able to be with us today. David, you missed the conference, but next year, you're.
Kind of the best.
Thank
you.
Double duty next year.
So it's an imaginary award, but you also are getting an award. Okay.
Yeah, we feel the love. Okay, well, speaking of awards, here's your chance to start earning some. I'm going to be asking for volunteers for our December webinar. This is the second year the VSBA is hosting a webinar called Get On Board for candidate training. And it's a little different from our other webinars where we invite members of the public to come in the evening, and it's December 10th. To listen to Sue give a presentation on the roles and responsibilities of school board members, what it's like to be a school board member, and how you become a candidate. She gives really good information on how you fill out a petition. So last year we had 3 amazing board members on that panel. I don't think any of them were VSBA board members, but this year we were thinking it'd be great if 3 of you wouldn't mind doing that with us. It's just an hour long, 6 to 7 p.m. on December 10th. If you think you're free and can do that.
And you don't really have to develop the content. Nope. We give the basic content.
I'll send you a couple questions that you can think about, like what's the greatest, why did you run for school board, or why do you serve? And what's the greatest, you know, what's one of the things you like about it? And then we have a lot of questions and answers. It's a lot of questions and answers from people who are thinking about becoming board members.
And is that Tuesday in case, and they can email you. They don't, so don't feel pressure if you need it right away. I'm happy to go. But
I'm on city council. Oh, you are now.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Jack's volunteering.
I'll be glad to do that, because then I can do a conflict of interest. I can do a great job and give myself an award.
You just earned yourself a chair position to that.
Just so it's a rocking chair.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. Yeah, 2 more panelists, Nancy.
I would like to do that.
And you'll do it too?
Okay.
Oh,
so
Laura,
that's-
great. All right, so thank you all very much. Laura, Nancy, and Jack, I'll be in touch with you very soon. It'll be easy and fun.
My district.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our meeting, and we are, we're ahead of schedule. We're ahead of schedule. Any reflections, anything that could go better in your meeting? Did you have what you needed, or anything, facilitations that would make it easier for you besides the sound? We'll check on that, and I'm sorry that you can't hear us well. I don't even know if you're hearing us right now, because you guys look a little confused there. Okay, hearing none. Sorry. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. And we're adjourned.
Who was that?
With Bart and Megan.
Thank you.
Everyone, bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
To the middle, yeah.